Okay, welcome one and all. Let's just come to standing. Good job. So this evening we're going to make the most of the space that we have. I'm just going to check how much visibility you have. So depending how much room you have where you are, facing this way, have the feet hip width apart if possible, and then we're going to pad through the feet a number of times. So have the feet roughly parallel. I won't be too strict on this, we're going to spend a little bit of time padding through the feet. Is the sound okay? Okay, good stuff, awesome. So we're spreading through the toes. You're welcome to keep your socks on, of course. I'm going to trust that those toes are spreading within the confines of the socks. And just looking down towards the feet, you can start to bring a little movement up through the hips and the pelvis. And it helps just to start by looking at the feet, just drawing our attention in towards the body. And then slowly we start to become aware of perhaps the feet being very well positioned. That movement's coming up through the ankles, the knees and into the hips. And just breathing. And we can slowly sort of trust the feet to stay roughly where they are, planted. And then we can lift the chin up. Let the arms release. Nice deep breaths. This gentle swaying, we're just feeling into, if you like, the natural movement that's already available without doing anything at all. So a little movement you may feel into the inner groins, around the kneecaps. Nice deep breaths. And any other movement, you know, if you want to release into the hands, pressing the arms away. We'll come to more specific movements in a moment, but you know, if anything arises, this is spontaneity, this is creativity, this is Shakti. So we just honour that wherever we are, whatever arises. Start to bring a little tone up through the belly and get that sense of that length all the way up from the pubic bone to the breastbone. Just turning sideways on. And a couple of things to note when we're moving. Okay, temptation is often to lay back into the lower back. If there's any compression, just check that you're not out of alignment. Shoulders are further back than the hips. And the same with being forward. So we all know, I'm exaggerating, but you know, we can overarch in the back, notice that the chest is very forward. And again, shoulders are forward of the hips. So just have that in mind, that lovely sense. And of course, we're talking about fluidity here, so we don't want to be too rigid in our movement or too rigid in our approach. Slowly let this movement come to stillness. We'll turn the palms forward and out, so we're into Tadasana. Lifting up, again, take that lovely lift all the way up through the feet. A little engagement from the very tops of the kneecaps, through those quadriceps, front thighs, lifting up through the hip flexors. So I'm, you know, sort of exaggerating, but you get the idea that there's all this space to be had. Take some deep breaths here and relax, just relax. So you can almost visualize this is Shavasana in a standing position. And so it can be restful. Find that connection with the breath. And this is our portal, if you like, to some of that sense of restfulness, stillness. And just come into contact with all of the sensations. So it may be up the backs of the legs. Notice if this is quite strong on the backs of the knees, and you're very welcome just to pop a little bend in the knees and relieve through that tension, coming all the way back up. Lifting up through the chest. You may even feel a little engagement through the belly, through the abdominals. Nice deep breaths. And just settle. You can fix the eyes on something that isn't moving. So Tadasana is our mountain pose. So you may think, why would we start fluidity with the mountain? And of course, this is the invitation always in our practice, the extremities, the hard and the soft, the active and the passive, the still and the moving. Well done. Let's slowly release the hands. Let's turn the palms in towards the body. Rest them against the thighs. Pop a little bend gently into the knees and take the hands a little further back behind you. Just pausing there. Take some of the weight down through the feet, the balls of the feet, the toes, into the heels. Well done. And then we're going to sweep the arms gently forward. So we're coming into Utkatasana with the feet apart, nice and spacious, and take the arms nice and spacious. Press into the feet to come up and release those arms. Good job. Exhale. So let's do that again. Arms all the way back, breathing in. Looking forward, nice long spine. Exhale, come forward with the arms, out wide and all the way up. Good job. Now in your own time, with your own breath, you can sit down as low as you need. See if you can keep integrating the movement and the breath, and just notice which muscles sort of come on board with this movement. So in lots of ways, we're still very much still. We're planted like a mountain through the feet as we lift up and wide and expansive. Good job. You can sit down a little lower, and again load weight bear as it were through the feet, up through those lovely thigh muscles into the glutes. You can slowly start to come to sort of full extension. We're almost aiming to have the arms completely extended as we come up, bringing the arms a little wider, a little further up towards the ceiling, coming down, staying with the breath. Beautiful. Now you can pause at any stage. It may be that you really enjoy that sort of challenge of the thighs really waking up and coming on board. Arms extending. Well done. Next round, wherever you are. Beautiful. Nice rest. Landing back into Tadasana. Good job. We're going to gently take that right arm all the way behind the body and gently catching the other arm. Now don't worry if you don't quite catch the arm. This is where you can use, I'm just going to turn all the way around so you can see, okay? So it slides up the back and then catches that left arm. Now, if it doesn't catch, if there's absolutely no way, you can bridge the gap with your belt, which is here, which is quite a nice way to do it, or even a sock, because we're not, it only needs to be short, so you can literally take the belt around to hook. Let me make a loop to start, and then you can bind this way. All right, so it just gives you a nice little stretch. We start to open across the chest. If you cannot bind, don't worry, this will be tightness in the shoulders, but just using a prop in this way will give you a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more reach, for want of a better word. Breathing into the chest, feet planted, feet parallel, chest open and relaxed. So the back of the hand is against the body. Yeah. Keep softening. And we may meet quite a bit of resistance. There's a lot of tension, a lot of holding. So this is where our fluid approach can come in. We can just soften. Notice if there's extra grasping where there needn't be, what we can release. Well done. Let the fingers release, and of course the arms will come all the way back to your lovely mountain pose. Keep drawing up through the legs. Nice deep breath in and release. I'll take a breath in to prepare, raising up that left arm. And then exhale, the back of the hand comes behind. And again, you may find that each side is slightly different. The fingers can just walk around. You're gripping wherever you can, okay? So again, if it's easier to bring the arm a little further down the body so that you can reach more towards the wrist, then you're very welcome to do that, okay? Or you use your little belt to bridge the gap. lifting up through the chest. So this can also feel quite strong across pectoralis muscles coming into the chest and into the top of that shoulder. So just being really mindful, not overdoing it, not overreaching, over grasping. Well done. Breathing deep. Just settle, let the eyes be soft. And release, nice and slowly. Let the arms just hang loose without doing anything at all. Good job. Bend the knees. Come forward, we're going to hinge forward and just gently take a hold of the elbows, okay? So if you feel dizzy at all, you're always welcome to rest the buttocks against the wall as one idea. You can rest against the wall, okay? Or don't come down as low, or use a chair. All of these are options. I'm just giving them to you because sometimes, you know, we can feel a bit lightheaded. And take those deep breaths. Well done. Change the cross of the elbows. So just taking the opposite elbow in the opposite hand. Nice big breaths. Keeping the knees soft. So that the back, the whole of the spine has a chance to release. And release the hands. Hands onto the thighs. Chin to chest. Roll up nice and slowly. Let's come up with the shoulders, sort of zombie style. And exhale, release. Well done. We're going to bring a little isolation to this left shoulder. Breathing as we move. Breathing in and out to release. And staying with the sensation. And this is the opportunity within our yoga practice that perhaps, you know, differentiates it from any other kind of stretching or Pilates or workout. This is an invitation to be completely absorbed in our practice, to put everything else down, to really merge, as it were, back into the unity. Well done. And this takes an approach of fluidity. Let's come to the other side, of being fluid, of going with the flow, and not against something, but going with something. And this is essentially the natural order, wanting to go in the natural direction. So listening to the body is the first step. Well done. Slowly release. Let's step the feet closer together and just try this, okay? Because of course, again, if you really struggle with balance, you may want to keep the feet hip width apart. We're going to take the arms again forward, bending those knees, bringing the arms all the way up into Urdhva Hastasana. Now just notice it will feel a little bit different, almost sort of pivoting on a pinhead. It's a lot sort of tighter in, there's a lot more constraint. So we have to stay, again, really mindful of what's happening with the body, with the breath, where the mind is at. Reaching up into the hands. I appreciate you can't see my hands, but let's really go for that wonderful stretch that we can really breathe into. Notice if you're holding your breath. Exhale the arms wide, nice and slowly, using some tone in the belly. We're going to pause with the arms at shoulder level apart. Well done. Extend the fingers if they are clenched or facing upwards. We're going to just turn the palms down. Good job. Little tone in the belly. Let's bring on board the pelvic floor, that sense of really lifting up through the central channel. Excellent. Release the left hand towards the thigh and then gently up and over with that right arm. So you'll notice I'm not coming to my full maximum, you know, we can go right the way over, but using that tone in the belly, feeling into the length, going up and then over. Good job. So we're letting the hand slide down, that left hand slide down the outside thigh. You can squeeze into the glutes and the thighs. Deep breath in, exhale, release. Really allow that to be slow, mindful, to listen to the shoulders. Let's give them a little roll and a big exhale. Take as many breaths as you need. Deep breaths, slowly releasing. Good job. When you're ready, deep breath in to prepare. Let's take the opposite arm all the way up. So left arm is coming up and then palm to the thigh, up and over. So we're lifting up out of the waist, again gathering up, gathering the fibres so that everything is coming on board, slowly, breath by breath, tissue by tissue. This is pointing us towards integration in the direction we wish to go, this sense of flowing with ease. If there is any restriction there, you can breathe, you can soften, you can come out and come in. Remember, there's always that option. Well done. Just notice where you are on your feet. See if you can draw up into the heels. Excellent. Well done. Release that top arm. Good job. Well done. And again, let's take that into a little shake out. Step the feet apart. Maybe lift each leg. So again, this is a little bit of balance, so transferring the weight. So go at your own pace. You know, if you're somebody who needs to lean against a wall, I want you to do that. Don't take any risks where I can't physically catch you. Good job. Hands on the hips and just have a little wiggle through the pelvis. So whatever feels good for you. So loosening off through all of the joints and almost visualize what's happening down through the spine into the pelvis. You can tip the pelvis, use your hands to sort of bring a little circle to the hips, breathing deep. We're not worried about what we look like, thank goodness we're not out on the dance floor or anything like that. We can just release, feel into the pelvis, nice deep breaths. Or maybe you want to be on a dance floor. Maybe that's a whole other class. Well done. Good job. Have a little shake out the hands. Have a little rub of the hands as well, because you know, thumbs are working really hard and finger joints, so we can hold tension there. We're going to come towards the top end of our mat. Hands can go on the thighs and just pausing there. We're going to come down towards hands and knees. So if you know that you need a little bit of padding under the knees, I've got a double mat here, so that gives me a little bit more padding. I'm also going to take off my socks for downward dog, but it's up to you. You know whether or not these are super slippy. So we're going to take our hands on the hips. Have a little walk out again through the feet, through the ankle joints. We're going to do a little bit more of this in the downward dog. But again, just feel, oiling those joints, really feeling into the spaciousness around the joints. And then pausing, lifting up, looking up. Exhale fully. And then we'll take a deep breath in. Exhale. Draw up from the pelvic floor as we fold over the fingertips. Let all of that breath go. Release the hands. We'll take another breath here. And then gently bending the knees. Take your time. Really walk this out in a sense, quite animal-like, if that helps as a visualization, to really place with care and attention every one of those digits, yeah, fingers, thumbs. Take the feet a little wider so there's a lovely sense of spaciousness through the thighs, through the pelvis, and then the same principle applies, nice softness around the knees, up into the inner groins, and then settle in the centre where the spine could be long. Nice deep breath here, let the head relax. And just notice any parts of the body that feel blocked, tight. Look forward to the hands. Well done. Drop into the knees. We're going to tuck under the toes. Keep the knees nice and wide. Stretching back, buttocks towards the heels. Coming down onto the elbows. Take your time. Just notice if the knees are happy, if you need any extra support like a blanket or something between the buttocks and the heels, like a cushion, folded blanket, etc. Otherwise, we're bringing hands together into Anjali Mudra. Walk the elbows forward, prayer position, and then dropping the head down to the floor, hands up and over the head. Fingertips pointing down the spine. Breathing the whole length of the spine from the outer edges of the armpits, the elbow joints, the forearms and wrists. And just check in that the jaw is soft and the forehead is soft. And just allowing that fluidity, that softness, that spaciousness. These are the qualities in our practice that will keep that energy moving naturally. Well done. Let's gently come out, releasing the hands. Take the arms wide again, palms to the floor. Coming up nice and slowly to hands and knees. You can leave the feet around hip width apart, so there's a little bit of stability for the pelvis. Release any tension through those hands. Again, anytime, if you need to keep it light in terms of pressure through the hands and the wrists, the finger joints, think of it as sort of padding through the palms. We're going to bring the little movement of hips and pelvis side to side, bending the elbows as we go. Nice, slow movement. Really sort of almost leading with the sitting bones. Okay, so really stretching into those sitting bones. Now you can take each elbow a little further down towards the floor. So see if you can keep that sort of parallel with your edge of your mat, or in other words, in line with your own leg. As you come down, you can look back towards the heel of that same leg, okay, the same side of the body. And then coming up, nice long spine. Exhale, release to the other side. And we're feeling for contact with the breath with every movement. So drawing us in, particularly if the mind is still presenting lots of files, lots of interesting documentation, needs our attention, but not right now. And again, you move at your pace. You can pause back into the tabletop at any time. You can come down back into child's pose if you need to. Breathing deep. Well done. Let's pause in the center. Let's draw the hands towards the body and place them on the hips. Chest is open. Collarbones are wide. So it's sometimes described as smiling. I like that image. So if the head and neck feel like there's any tension, then you can keep the head in line. Otherwise, the eyes can cast upwards if you're using a little tone in the belly. If there's support at the front, anterior spine supporting the back. Well done. Gently release when you're ready. Hands come forward, tucking under the toes. We're going to press ourselves up nice and slowly. Good job. Let's step the feet to parallel. Don't worry again about heels. You can walk through the legs a number of times. So sometimes we think we have to have the heels in a certain place, like down, and that's not something that really matters in the end. Lifting up and being lengthened through the whole of the spine, spacious around the armpits, a little engagement through the legs. This is going to give us a lot more sense of integration. Good job. Well done. We're going to come back down to hands and knees, pausing there, tucking under the toes. We're going to be stepping forward with the leg that's closest to me, okay? So you can do this in a number of ways. You can walk that foot, okay? I'm doing a slower version, or you can just step that foot. All right, so it comes to the outside edge of your little finger. Nice deep breath. And if this puts too much pressure through the back knee, you're welcome to pop a little bit more support under the back knee. Lovely. Or you can gently lift that back knee and release it. Sometimes it's just one little nerve ending. Breathing deep. I know this is strong. It's a strong stretch into the hip, into the groin. And see how that feels, okay? Keeping the knee on top, as it were, of your ankle. Lengthen through the spine. Take your hand onto the thigh and come up nice and slowly. Nice deep breath. Good job. So we're resting on the back foot is all the way. I'm just going to turn that so you can see. Good job. Resting on the top of the shin, the top of the foot. Let's raise up both the arms. Palms facing in towards each other. So you're distributing the weight between the front foot and the back leg. Now we're going to exhale, release the arm that's closest to me, and then gently turning towards each other. You can place the palm on the outside edge of that leg. Good job, so you're facing towards me. Take some deep breaths. Well done. Let's come back to center. You can use your hands on the thigh, bringing your hands forward. Take a deep breath in, and then we're going to step that foot all the way back. You can extend that leg momentarily just to give that hip a release, and then come back to hands and knees. Tuck under the toes. Come up slowly into a downward dog. Just take your time. Just be mindful that, you know, that it's your pace, it's your practice. Drawing up from the pelvic floor, breathing deep. Wonderful. Coming down, hands and knees. Resting on the tops of the feet. Stepping, leg that's furthest from me, all the way forward to the outside edge of your little finger. Just pausing there. So this first little preliminary step forward is fantastic for just resting in this position. For really, you're supported, there's no balance issues. Spine has a wonderful stretch. You can be as long through the spine. Breathing deep into that hip joint and just settle into that wonderful stretch. And take your time as you come up nice and slowly. So again, if you found on the other side that there was a little bit of imbalance, you may want to take your foot a little further to the outside edge of that mat. Once you feel nice and stable, we're going to raise up the arms. Really nice deep breaths. Don't hold anything back. You know, just think of this as an invitation to really feel the edges of the body. Feel the midline of the body. And then exhale, release. We're going to start with releasing the same arm as the leg that's forward. And then exhale, so we're turning away from each other. Resting. Resting the back of the hand against the thigh. Beautiful. So you can breathe into the length through the spine. There's this sort of a gentle ringing out through the whole of the spine. Well done. Release nice and slowly. Come all the way back, dropping the hands to the floor. You'll be glad to know that's the end of the knees. As a little treat, we're going to actually come all the way down onto the belly. Okay, so if you wish to put a little blanket under the pelvis here, you're very welcome. Otherwise, we're going to drop down, staying up on the forearms, just walking that lovely space through the belly, lifting up, resting here. Legs get a chance to release. Have some space between the ankles, okay, so there's that lovely equal space between the inner thighs, as it were, coming up through the thighs and the pelvis. So we can gently press into the elbows, really feel into the navel, and again this wonderful invitation just to connect with the whole body, just as it is. And let the shoulders melt away from the ears. Now here you may like to bend the knees and bring the heels in towards the body. Just pausing there. You can feel that you're perhaps pivoting there on the top of the pubic bone. You may feel the hip bones. So just noticing all the points of the body. You can point the toes towards you as well. Nice deep breaths. Well done. Let's exhale, release. We're going to come all the way down, elbows wide, resting on the temple, any side that suits your body. And gently lifting the head, turning the head to the other side with an exhalation, holding on to nothing. Let the whole body surrender to the earth. Wonderful. Take an extra deep breath in. And coming back up onto the elbows, forearms and wrists. When you're ready, you can tuck under the toes, draw the hands underneath the shoulders, peel yourself up nice and slowly. You can rest back in a balasana, child's pose, leaving the arms this time extended. Really get into the outer edges of the armpits. Or you can sit back on your heels, all the way back in Vajrasana, palms facing up. Don't suffer in any of these poses. If it's best to stay in Balasana and child's pose, then do so. Just gather the fibres of that sense of just coming back to centre. This wonderful invitation to come home, back to the heart space. Well done. So if you are forward, and peel ourselves up momentarily and just extending through the arms, interlacing the fingers, palms away. Nice deep breath here. And again, if you can't sit back on the heels, you come up to kneeling, okay, whichever one suits your body. Arms can come all the way up and then release the arms wide. Well done. Take a moment, take a breath. We're going to come to lay on our side, facing this way, laying on the outer edge of the thigh, stacking the legs, and you can walk the elbow a little further away and then see if you can gather up a little bit more space around the ribs. So we're stacking the feet and legs. We're weight bearing down through this side of the body. We're going to use this hand for support, and we're gently going to rock the body forward. Now you'll notice I'm not travelling very far, and if you're practicing this exactly with me, then you'll also know why, because this is your IT band stretch. Okay, so you may feel quite tight, breathing deep. If it's too intense, of course, you can pause. You don't need to travel far. So you're travelling almost from the edge of the thigh towards the front of the thigh. It's not far, it's probably a distance of about 2 inches, but it's a wonderful way to really get into the body. Deep breaths. Well done. Excellent. Let's bend up the knees. Extend that top leg. And now we're going to draw the belly in and turn the belly back towards the floor. So we're going to leave this front leg. In fact, you can bring the front shin a little further forward so it's almost at a 90-degree angle. And then walking the hands, keep gathering up a little bit more space around the belly. Just as we did in the earlier posture, we can rest here on the elbows, forearms and wrists. Now that top leg may want to lift up slightly, that's fine. Keep it in line with its own hip. You can place something under the foot even, but we're not staying here too long. Just breathing the length of the spine, resting there. This is Shayana Marichyasana. Deep breaths. If we're attentive, we may even feel into this central channel known as the Sushumna. You can think of it as the spine, which is helpful, but it's also helpful to almost visualize the front of the spine, the back of the spine, all of those facet joints. Well done. Let's bend the top leg, rest it on the bottom, walking the hands back towards the body. Take a breath. No rush. We're going to swing the legs to the other side. It's easier to stay facing this way. And then we'll come to lay on the other side. Take your time. Remember, each side may present slightly differently. So the same with the body in general. We never quite know what we're going to find. Length through these lower ribs, really integrating the abdominals. Elbow planted. Take your time as you investigate that little roll forward across the thigh. Deep breaths. And remember, we're not traveling far. And if it's too intense, you can just pause. Come back to this. Breathe. These little pockets of holding, of tension. Be curious. Well done. Rolling and breathing. Good job. Well done. Let's bend up the legs. Extend the top leg away, planting the lower leg. And again, if there's any pinching on that lower hip, you can gently press and release the flesh of the outside hip, and then coming all the way around. So we're gathering up the belly, the muscles, the fibres, the tissue, as we come all the way down to rest on the elbows, forearms and wrists. Let that top leg do what it needs to do in order to release and rest. Breathing again through the whole of the spine, shoulders releasing. Well done. Top leg comes back to rest on the bottom leg. Use your hands to come all the way up. Let's extend the legs to the length of the mat. Hands come just behind the hips. Soles of the feet planted. Bring the hips and pelvis forward so the arms can extend as we lift up through the chest. Nice deep breath. And then exhale. Just bring a little movement, let the knees flop side to side. Deep breaths. So I find that I go for a little journey as I end up walking away from my hands. So you can bring your hands with you a little bit. Really reaching into the hips and pelvis. And then slowly we're going to come to lie on our backs. Okay, so when you feel ready, relax down onto the elbows, drawing the belly in towards the spine. And then resting there. You can place your hands just on your lower ribs, really connecting here with the diaphragm. Take some deep breaths. Head has landed, feet planted, hip width apart. And just rest. Rest in that sense of spaciousness. Take any support if you need it under the head. Just connecting with the breath. Deep inhalation, exhalation. And you can gently close the eyes and just allow the whole of the body to settle. And perhaps bringing some attention to the place where the breath lands. Is it in the belly? Is it high up in the chest? Can you notice the beating of the heart? The softening of the muscles? Is there any clinging? Any holding or tension? So just staying in that space with the breath. I'm going to read a little passage from the Chandogya Upanishad. In this body, in this town of spirit, there is a little house shaped like a lotus. And in that house, there is a little space. One should know what is there. What is there? Why is it so important? There is as much in that little space within the heart as there is in the whole world outside. Heaven, earth, fire, wind, sun, moon, lightning, stars. Whatever is and whatever is not, everything is there. And take a deep breath in, and when you're ready, bring the knees in towards the chest. Hug the knees, have a little roll around. You can stay tuned into that spaciousness around the heart. The chest, the back of the heart space. And releasing when you're ready. I'm going to take a deep breath in, rolling over, coming up nice and slowly. We'll prepare ourselves for our mantra and our meditation. So get yourself comfortable, obviously just checking that you have everything you need. Check the temperature. Be seated, be comfortable. I'm going to move a little closer, so I hope that works for you sound-wise. That's my water. Dimming the lights, taking a shawl. So we didn't discuss the seated postures this evening because I'm going to trust that you have found something that works for you. Perhaps kneeling. I'm taking a version of Sukhasana, cross-leg position. But of course, you can be sat on a chair, as long as the spine is lifted, the spine is long. Take as many deep breaths as you need just to settle. Well done. So we'll stay with this beautiful awareness of the heart space. We'll interlace the fingers, resting the hands against the chest. Can you hear me okay? Great. And then just coming to rest. So the eyes can gently close, just tuning in. Again, it may be that we feel into the if you like, the grossest elements, the physical elements, the finger joints, the skin, the clothes against the skin, the coarsest material, as it were, matter, form. And then we slowly drop into that which is most subtle. And one way to do this is to breathe, to connect with that breath that arises externally, comes into the body, and then leaves the body. And we can use this in our practice of meditation to stay with that breath, to stay connected with the heart. And this wonderful question, as posed by the passage that I read from the Chandogya Upanishad, is what is there? What is in this heart space? So allowing the breath to be fluid, to be free, to be expressive. And we'll stay with our beautiful visualization of the lotus in the heart space. Let's take a deep breath in and release that breath. Just soften into the shoulders, check the balance of the pelvis. Now you may wish to turn your hands against your chest into this beautiful lotus flower mudra. We open up in the center, little fingers touch, thumbs touch, and then these middle petals open out. This is a padme, just like the padme in the chant that we're about to start. We'll be pointing towards this lotus flower, resting at the heart space. If you find this difficult, of course, you can rest the palms against the chest into Vajra Mudra. I think that's incorrect. I'll have to check that. Unshakable trust. Well done. Let's just breathe into that heart space. Whichever mudra you're taking, just feeling into the length of the spine. So the chant begins with Om. And again, you can join with the listening or just the sounding, whatever suits you. We'll take a deep breath in. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Closing the fingertips if they are open. Deep breath in and exhale, release. So let the hands come to rest. Eyes gently closed, balanced and upright through the pelvis, through the spine. Let all tension go. So the mantra points to that, which is praise to the gem in the heart space, the lotus bud. May we meditate upon that potential in that space of the heart and know what is there. I'll mind the time. Taking a deep breath in and release. Allow a couple more deep breaths to flow through the body. And without too much agitation, we're going to take ourselves down to Shavasana. So if you wish to dim the lights, grab an eye pillow, you're very welcome. We'll come to lie down. Taking some support under the back of the head. You may want to have a little stretch out before you come to lie down. Perhaps hug at the knees. Any movement that feels good for your body. Pop your socks on if you need those on. Allowing the lower back to settle. And then slowly, when you're ready, you extend both legs. Let the feet flop out away from the midline. Shoulders tucked under, chin towards the chest. Palms facing up. Eyes closed, jaw soft. Resting in that deep peace of yourself. Resting in the heart space. Resting with the breath. Taking an extra deep breath in. Exhale as you slowly bend up your knees. Allow the soles of the feet to connect with the earth. Take another deep breath into the upper back, into the ribs, the lungs, and release that breath. And when you feel ready, roll over onto your side and just pause there on your side, taking some deep breaths. Stay with the sensations in the body, with that connection with stillness, with peace, with softness. Allowing a little light and colour into the eyes when you're ready. And slowly pressing up from the side to come all the way up to a comfortable seated position. Deep breath in. Exhale. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Sleep well.